It's time for the 259 Show, a weekly podcast that can be found on our website at www.the259show.com or on Facebook and Twitter at the 259 Show. Today's hosts are Joe Peachy, Mike Vincelli, Tyler Diedrich, and Andy Fowler. Here's your host, Andy Fowler.
Hello, welcome to episode number 7 of the 259 Show, the last episode of the year 2016. I'm Andy Fowler, joined live in studio with Joe Peachy, Tyler Diedrich, Mike Vincelli.
Daddy's home!
And
Hello.
Some extra guests this week, Greg Earnhardt and Amanda Diedrich, Tyler's wife.
Greg Earnhardt,
my son!
Straight from the Craft Brew Pub, Greg Earnhardt.
A couple ground rules before we get going here. No need to shout down here, guys. We're all sitting like 2 feet away from each other, and there's 4 microphones between us all.
Sorry,
Sorry,
friends.
It's okay. How was everybody's Christmas? How was everybody's Christmas?
Drew, my Christmas was great. It involved a lot of wonderful food, catered by none other than Papa Joe's.
Papa Joe.
Really good
Joe,
food.
you gotta stop calling yourself that.
Lots of good family.
Did you get some butter sauce with the breadsticks?
No, actually, we skipped on that, and we just got plain pizza with just sauce, Tyler.
Did you get a chicken
The
parm
way that
sandwich?
you like it.
Chicken
parm.
tastes so good.
The Omaha special.
Drew, how was yours?
My Christmas was great. We started Christmas 2-3 weeks ago. My girlfriend and I, we went.
Are you Jewish?
Yes, we are. My girlfriend and
Makes
I, we
sense
went
now.
up to Canada 2 weeks ago to celebrate Christmas up in Niagara Falls. Very polite people over there in Canada. Expensive because we're tourists. But at the border, the people were very polite, and
Ooh, which bridge did you take?
we went over the Rainbow Bridge.
Ooh.
And then on the way home...
Gay.
Thanks, Greg. And then first off, this is the most edgy this show has ever been.
Greg Earnhardt,
We're
bringing
2
the
minutes
edge.
in. We already got a couple calls about how we're a little too edgy.
I'm trying to bring in the younger listeners.
I wish you would step back from the edge, my friend.
Our producers upstairs are suggesting that we might start again, but we're going to plug through here.
Are we plugged in this week?
We're plugged in. Everything's been recorded thus far.
We're going to need a
For better or
parental
worse.
disclaimer this week, I think.
I think we may have to.
Thanks, Greg.
My son?
But this is the 259 Show. I didn't say this yet. You can hear us weekly on villageradio.net Saturday night, Sunday mornings. You could also hear us. That's kind of weird.
That's what happens when we have a kiss in the studio.
Tom and Amanda are necking
And
live.
are snuggling over here.
There's some
Ew,
neck
no.
action.
Tyler's gross and his.
The iTunes podcast store on Facebook and Twitter Saturday mornings, and our website, the259show.com. Christmas has come and gone. However, my favorite Christmas present this year has to be the news coming out of Western New York.
Time
this
out. I
week.
didn't get to talk about my Christmas.
Yeah, you didn't
Perhaps
ask
You-
us about
You're
it.
too
good.
busy necking over there.
Amanda touched her nose on my face, and I didn't even know it.
Is that what the young kids call it these days?
Tyler, how was your Christmas?
Drew, I had an
Thank you.
excellent Christmas. It was one of the best Christmases ever, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Friday night we had our Christmas party amongst us and a number of our other friends.
Which
it was
I will
great.
say that was amazing. Great party this year.
Very
thank
great
you.
party.
Yeah, and that was great. My friend Cameron got me a surprise gift of an autographed hat by Brandon Albert, who is the Dolphins' left tackle, a Rochester native, and is related to Cameron. And he pulled some strings and got us an autographed hat, so that was pretty neat. And then the next day, the Dolphins beat the Bills in Buffalo. I was there with my brother and sister, and then the next day, Christmas night, the Chiefs beat the Broncos, thus clinching a playoff spot for the Dolphins. And then last night, I made a surprise rally thanks to a touchdown pass by Des Bryant to win the fantasy football championship.
How was the conversation to the game between you, Jake, and Molly?
You know, it wasn't bad. You know,
Okay.
Who said the
Could've been-
first
could've
word?
been worse. I think it was me.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had to keep the conversation going a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Believe it or not, Tyler is the most talkative of the Diedrich children.
I believe it.
Yeah. I'm trying to
Our
argue
listeners
against it.
believe it too.
I'm trying to.
I can't believe I'm saying this either, but yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Good job, Tyler.
So yeah, it was
And he
pretty-
doesn't even drink. I mean, that's the most amazing part to me.
I was overtired on Friday night, which is the closest you'll ever see to me being drunk. because I had been up for almost 24 hours straight. So
All right.
Drunk on friendship.
yeah,
Preach.
yeah, pretty much, Mike.
Mike, how was your
I think
Christmas?
you hit the nail on
It's
the
nice.
head.
I went to Connecticut with my girlfriend's family, and they have a very nice home where we stayed and great food.
How was
Great
that?
friends.
Not being home for
I
Christmas.
thought it was going to be weird, but it ended up not being that bad.
You were all
It
right.
was nice. It was
Yeah,
nice.
good.
It wasn't bad. We had a good time. They're a nice family.
Good. Greg,
It was fine.
thank you. And Amanda, I'm assuming your Christmas went just as well because Tyler had a great Christmas,
Well,
or
a lot of the stuff Tyler mentioned didn't really affect me too much, other than Tyler
Signs of a
was
great
really
marriage.
happy, which is great. But
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Gotta get
What
that
is-
thing in
what
it.
is-
yeah, it was
what does
a
that
very
mean?
nice Christmas.
Whenever there's a
We-
mention of being married, we ring the bell.
Oh, okay.
I'm not very good at it. It's
we
my
went
only job.
to Tyler's great aunt and uncle in Brighton on Saturday. And then we had brunch with his parents Sunday morning and dinner with my family
And-
that night. And your grandpa was there.
Wait, why do you guys see each other's family so often?
We like them.
Marriage.
Ah, there we go.
So, Drew, why don't you jump into the news out of One Bills Drive?
yeah, thank God.
Is this
Let's
breaking?
move off
Is
of
this breaking?
No, I wish it was because by the time this plays, it'll be old news, and we'll be the last ones to talk about it.
Only thing breaking is my spirits right now.
But anywho, the Buffalo Bills announced today the relief of duties of Rex and Rob Ryan. Doug Whaley will lead the pack, searching for a new coach for the next season, and Anthony Lynn will take over as interim coach for the remaining game. What are our thoughts about this?
Well, I'm going to go first because Greg's a Bills fan too, but these guys,
Well, what makes you qualified to speak first here, Joe?
because I'm a
Yeah.
Bills fan.
So was Drew.
Well, Drew wanted to lead
As
it
a
off.
season
as someone
ticket
else.
holder.
So here's the thing, man. I'm happy to see the Bills move in a direction that shows they want to win. But I will say, and I guess I am happy that Rex is no longer the coach.
But you defended
I don't
him
think
last week.
I know I defended him last week, but I guess I rethought my statement, and he's not a great coach for a couple of reasons. One,
not
there
a
was
great
only
head
10
coach.
guys on the field at probably the most important play of the game last week, and that has to be on the coach.
Everything that-
I feel like going for it on 4th and 3 with the season on the line and punting it from your own 41 with 4 minutes left of overtime, that kind of just showed
In a must-win game.
in a must-win game everything that needs to show. But I will say this about Rex: I don't think anybody wanted to win more than him in the whole organization. I think that he lived and breathed to win for the fans.
I don't
which
think,
I think was
anybody
good.
goes out and says, "I'm going to lose the game."
No,
today."
I don't think anybody says that.
Or
but
at
I
least he made it
certainly
look.
think that
At least he made it look that way.
made it look which way.
That he wanted to do that. He's kind of an attention whore.
He is very much wanting attention, but I also think
He's
that
gonna
he
do whatever
wanted
it
to win.
takes.
I think he wanted to win more than anybody else. I think that you can't deny that. And at the same time, he wants the attention, but I think that he it's silly to say it, but he bled red and blue.
I think he just wanted people to like him.
Well, I mean, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Rex Ryan has not made the playoffs since 2010. He has losing records since then. He's never won the division as a head coach.
Yeah, he's regressed.
Look,
He
I
has regressed.
agree, man. I
Every
think
year.
getting rid of him as a coach is probably a good move at the end of the day. It
mean-
sucks that we have to start from scratch every 2 to 3 years.
Clearly, they were playing a superior team on Saturday.
All right, enough of that.
And
They played what are you talking about?
everything
They
that-
played the Dolphins.
Everything that went wrong, the AFC wildcard Dolphins, thank you. Everything that went wrong in that game for the Bills comes back to coaching.
Yeah,
Missed
that's
tackles,
exactly what I said.
missed tackles, not
They
enough
had-
people on the
they
field.
had- They had way too much talent on their roster this year. Even considering all the injuries they had way too much talent to finish at 7-9 or 8.
That is true.
That's a very good
now,
point.
what is the room's thoughts about
If they
Doug
could have tackled,
Whaley?
they would have won the game.
Doug Whaley.
I think Doug Whaley's done a lot of good, but at the same time, he's had a couple questionable.
Is this going to be
roster
his last audition, a head coach spot here?
I think
Pick a guy, and then
gotta
this is
be.
your last
Maybe.
2 years.
Now,
If it
correct
doesn't work
correct
out.
me if I'm wrong, but he's made the team quite a bit more talented the last few years.
Yes,
Oh,
I think that
goodness,
Doug Whaley.
Like I said,
When
everything
he
comes
took
back
over-
to coaching with the current Bills.
Yes, thank you, Tyler. I think there was a stat that I saw today. Before Doug Whaley took over as GM, they had how many straight losing seasons, and it was just atrocious. While Doug Whaley has not brought us a playoff that we so desperately want, he has brought us at least franchise teams that finish above or close to 800.
And they're more exciting in general.
500, I'm sorry. Yes,
800,
very much
yeah.
so. And, LaShawn McCoy, one of the best running backs in the league this year. I think our defense can be one of the best in the league. I think that he has put pieces in place.
They were before Rex got
The two
to
linebackers
Buffalo.
that he picked up this year, Lorenzo Alexander and Zach Brown, are Pro Bowl type players. I think that, and that's all on Doug Whaley finding those guys. Maybe the system that they're in has helped them to do well, but I also think that it's important to find guys who can fit in your system, and Doug Whaley has done that.
And
I think he's a high risk, high reward type of guy. Right? He's gonna make a lot of big moves, spend a lot of money. Maybe it'll pay off, maybe it won't. So far, probably hasn't. Right? Bills continue to be middle of the pack, mediocre team.
Do you think
But I
they go after a quarterback this offseason with guys like Jay Cutler?
I think, honestly, man, that's
Tony Romo.
That's a
Tony Romo,
conversation
yeah.
for another day. We could talk about that for...
Yeah.
Well,
I think it has
I
more
mean,
to do
that's
with coaching.
That's something that seems
Yeah.
like Doug Whaley would
I think it
do,
has more
right?
to do with coaching.
It all
because
comes back to
Tyrod's
coaching.
Tyrod's a reliable player. He's decent. He's not going to win you a game with his arm.
That was the thing
yet,
on
but
Saturday.
Yeah, but I
He
don't think
doesn't
they're
turn the
sold
ball
on him
over
because
either.
they're
I mean,
starting E.J. Manuel this
For all
week.
the things they do
Alex
wrong, they
Smith.
don't turn the ball over. Like
Yeah,
the Dolphins have
Yeah.
been forcing a lot of turnovers lately, so I was waiting for them to get one or two, and they never did because the Bills do protect the ball at least.
We protect the ball, but I think Tyrod throws over the middle 3 or 4 times a game.
if that.
So that's why he doesn't turn the ball over.
And he
is 'cause
misses a
never
lot of
ever
throws.
throws the ball over the middle of the field. And while it's not pivotal for you to throw the ball over the middle of the field to win, you have to take a shot. I mean, you saw it in the Miami game. He finally threw it to Charles Clay over the middle, and Clay played like the tight end. We paid him $30 million to
Yeah,
be.
he got a contract.
He
out
got
of
a
that
big
game.
contract, No, he got a big contract.
Thank
out
you
of
for
his
that,
years
by the way.
from the Dolphins, and he's a good tight end, but we hadn't been using him. He scored 2 touchdowns. He played great last Sunday, but
Yeah.
this is the first time all year.
I think we could also note that Tyrod's pocket game has gone down since center Eric Wood has been out the last 4 or 5 weeks. His pocket time isn't as much as it used to be, and it doesn't allow him to make those second, third cuts to get up the field if he were to scramble.
I also think Miami has a really good front four.
Look,
I
I think the Dolphins are a good example of how this all comes back to coaching. Because look at the Dolphins; they were pretty much the same team in terms of personnel last year. They got a new coach; it's just been a completely new attitude. They've won all their wins have been within, other than like one game, has been one score, and it comes down to coaching. The team is tougher than it was last year, more disciplined, and I mean they're just pulling wins out, games that they wouldn't have won
I'll also
last year.
give your Dolphins the credit. They were left for dead in week 4.
They were 1 and
or
4.
5.
They were 1 and 4.
I remember I listened to a podcast around the NFL.
Was
and
it
I
the
remember
259 show?
that too?
Heard
And I
that's a
think
good
they were close to forking the Dolphins, and that's their term for saying a team is done for the year.
Well, I remember before
And-
the first Dolphins-Bills game, everyone was like, well, because the Bills were kind of down at that point, like, oh, we got the Dolphins coming up. That's a win. That'll help us get back on track.
Yeah, so impressive to those guys, man. Like,
Well,
turn the season around.
I remember I went to a friend's wedding who's a Dolphins fan back in October. It was the day before they played the Steelers. They were 1 and 4 at the time. I was going to wear my Dolphins tie to the wedding, but I decided not to because I was too embarrassed. And I figured they were going to lose to the Steelers the next day. And I even said that to a Steelers fan who was at the wedding. They ended up winning, and now they've won 9 of their last 10 games ever since then.
And now the team you might play in the playoffs is the Steelers.
Right.
So.
Now the last thing before we move off of Rex Ryan, Carl Falk showed today on 1280. I know we've talked about how we felt about that before, but reports are Rex Ryan has, or the CBS Sports Network has reached out to Rex Ryan. There's rumors that he may be on TV as early as this week.
Well, that's shocking.
I think that's where he'll find his next home. I don't see him
I-
coaching again. Maybe a defensive coordinator, but definitely in front of a camera. I think that's where we'll see Rex Ryan next.
He's always in
Like
front of a
this
camera
one.
anyway. The most dangerous place in Buffalo is between Rex Ryan and a camera.
I think he'll do great on TV.
That's a joke. That's,
Or a buffet.
So that's
actually, one more thing. I mean, I would have to think that, like you said before the show, that Jim Schwartz is atop that short list for the next coach, or
Yeah, Tom
another name that
Coughlin.
surfaced is Tom Coughlin, which I would. You know, I hate the Bills. That would be a terrific move for them. As I said myself, for Notre Dame's next head coach, which apparently we don't need one right now, even though we do. But no, I would think Tom Coughlin needs to be toward the top of that list, even though he's 70 years old.
Yeah.
I
Joe,
think-
any other people you should
I
throw in
think we could probably do a whole segment on guys that we feel
Keep it
like
short,
could be-
just
I think Anthony Lynn, Tom Coughlin, or I wouldn't mind, and this is a double dose, is Josh McDaniels, and then trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. But we could talk about that later. So
Okay.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Next week.
How about Jim
Next week.
Shorts?
I think
Thoughts on
Jim
Jim
Schwartz has had his shot as an NFL head coach. He was mediocre. I
getting-
think if Buffalo wants to get
Well, the
another
Bills always
mediocre
bring in
coach-
the Bills always bring in retreads.
That's the thing. Like, I think Jim Schwartz would just be Rex Ryan again. I mean, Jim Schwartz had his success. He went to the playoffs, but at the same time, he had mediocre seasons. He'd be another Rex
How
Ryan.
about
I think
Tom?
our offense needs a little more help than having a DC as a head coach.
That's also true.
How about Tom Coughlin as a player manager? Keep
I
him
think
out of
if-
trouble. Keep those.
If you're going to
suspensions
get
on
Tom
the-
Coughlin in there, have him just do it. Have him be the coach.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Got one-
I'm
got
sorry. I
one, 2
misunderstood
Super Bowls.
what you were saying.
Yeah.
I thought you said to just hire him
More-
as like
no,
someone.
no.
Tom Coughlin would bring in the discipline that the Bills have been lacking the last 2
Coughlin
years.
time. TC time.
That's been one of the most frustrating things for me.
Yeah.
I was gonna. You mentioned that word earlier, discipline, and that's been. It's so frustrating to watch, especially
Bills
with
have
a team this talented that rack up like 150 yards in penalties every
Yeah.
game.
Not this last week though. That's the one
No,
thing I
that-
noticed
right.
watching.
They struggle enough,
And the same with the
their
Dolphins
offense.
because they're one of the most penalized
Yeah.
teams also.
This past week, I think there may have been enough penalties for one hand to count. There wasn't many.
Yeah.
Count, especially with an overtime game too.
And, one other guy who would bring the discipline that the Bills need.
Jesus Christ.
Well, yes. Rich Lapani.
Yes.
One more point, Drew.
Yes.
I don't know if the listeners probably know this by now because it's Saturday. EJ Manuel will be starting on
Yes.
Sunday, so I'm not watching
for
that
real?
game. Yes, I'm
Why?
not going anywhere near
No.
a TV.
The,
That
the Buffalo Bills have, Doug Whaley said this will be a tryout to kick the tires
Well,
to see what happens. What are you going to discover that
had, like, 2
EJ?
seasons.
No, but there was
As a
also
tryout.
some sort of clause in Tyrod's contract.
that's why
where if he gets hurt,
Tyrod's
they
not
don't
playing
get
because if
hurt.
he gets hurt, he gets basically $45 million.
Thir-
But then why not try Cardell Jones?
he's not.
That's
He hasn't
Great
been
idea.
active all
But
year.
they already
he ain't
used
here to play
EJ Manuel.
school.
They're going to move past EJ.
this is EJ Manuel's. I mean, maybe they're
had-
throwing EJ Manuel a bone because he's going to be a free
gotta-
agent. And
EJ
maybe
Manuel
this is
had
like,
way too many chances already.
Yeah,
right,
that's why.
this is maybe
why
their way
not
of saying
throw
EJ,
Cardell
go
Jones out
get
there,
yourself a
serious guy.
contract.
Unless they're
Like,
paying EJ too much money
Stupid.
to sit on the bench and do
I-
nothing.
I'm-
That's what I'm saying. They might go after a veteran quarterback who's going to be a free agent this year.
I honestly don't think EJ Manuel had enough time.
No,
That's my opinion.
EJ
Agree
Manuel
to
is the worst
disagree.
thing that ever happened ever.
It was a stupid draft.
We're going to move on from the NFL. This week, we are not doing NFL Upset and Lock Pick of the Week because none of us have prepared that. We totally forgot about that
we
because
just
we
not-
have a long program
Sorry,
ahead of
I
you.
nailed my upset last week, by the way. Dolphins over Bills.
I think Joe did too.
Yep,
I think I
Joe.
did too.
Congrats, Joe.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So we're going to go by that. Mike's our winner of that. Congratulations, Mike.
Are we sure?
Yes. Mike had
You guys all owe me schmegs.
Schmegs. Carl Palladino is a household name in Western
Just
New
say,
York.
Greg.
Crazy Carl Palladino.
I was going to say Schmegma.
I knew.
Thanks, Greg. Carl Palladino, household name in Western New York. He ran for governor a couple elections back. He currently sits on the Board of Education for the Buffalo City School District. He had some choice words to say in the news this past week about our current sitting president and
It's a
his
mild way to
wife.
put it.
Not choice enough. 'Cause-
And
Oh, boy.
it didn't really become a news story until his son openly came out against.
No, it was definitely a news story
No, it
before.
was.
It was?
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
it was
dude.
a big
the
deal.
wife
Yeah.
racist.
Although, you know what, though, to be fair, it was littering our news feeds because we're St. Bonaventure grads,
Right.
And
whereas
so
you may
is-
not have been seeing
Oh.
this. So,
So is Carl Palladino.
yeah, it was.
I did not.
I saw a lot of it before.
I did not hear
you
it
guys,
until.
you guys support Carl Palladino in the comments that he made. Is that what you're trying
No,
to say?
Not in
absolutely
the
not.
slightest.
So I do have a news clip I want to play. This is Carl Palladino defending his choice words. Tyler, do you remember just briefly?
Yeah, basically, he said
paraphrasing
that President Obama should die of mad cow disease and that Michelle Obama should go live in Zimbabwe
In a
and some other
cave.
racist comments.
All right, this is Carl defending his words.
Well, as I said in the memo, a little bit of humor, old style humor is good. And deprecating humor, yeah, it's the appropriate time. It's the appropriate time to say goodbye to a couple people who I think the country created a very divided country because they tried to bring the country someplace else other than where it wanted to be.
And then defending his words, he had this to say, and he took it one step further.
Yeah, goodbye, Barack. Goodbye, Michelle. Oh, the woman who hated America and then stuck around for all the bennies. And then at the end, she says, She's lost hope. America has no hope. It's the end. Well, Michelle, pack your bags and go over to Zimbabwe and live over there.
That is crazy. Carl Palladino for you. He goes on. It was about a 15-minute interview I listened to. It was with Time Warner Cable News out of Buffalo. And he goes on to call out the school board that he sits on and a couple educational moves, yada, yada, yada.
And that was him defending the comments that he made?
That was him defending.
Yeah.
So he doubled down
on the
in his
comments he
apology.
made.
Yeah.
And he basically
Okay.
said Michelle should definitely go to Zimbabwe.
But he just picks up.
Is he going to pay for the tickets over there? That would be.
I don't know
Would that
how
be a
that
triple
works.
down?
Well, according to Crazy Carl, she's got all the bennies. So
Because
Yeah.
the president
I mean,
makes such a large
what's a
salary.
penny?
The guy is clearly crazy.
Clearly.
Which we called him Crazy Carl even when he ran for governor in 2010. At that time, he still was able to win basically Erie County and all of Western New York.
But doesn't
And a couple
Carl
counties out
Palladino,
in the Adirondacks.
yes, he's a public figure, and what he says will go further than anybody, but don't we all have a Uncle Carl Palladino in our family? Somebody who'll say something
I,
like
I,
that.
I definitely do.
You
I don't
definitely
think
do.
I
Yeah. I had to unfollow him on Facebook. I'm still friends with him on Facebook.
If I do, I don't know it.
Yeah, same.
I feel like we all know somebody who makes comments like that, doesn't care where it goes. It
I
could be
think-
friend, it could be
Well,
uncle, it could be
I
grandfather.
think we all know someone who
president.
makes somewhat racist comments, but not like that. That was absolutely atrocious.
He's also in a position of power. So it's like if a student, he's the head of a school board. Am I correct?
Yeah,
He's on the
I-
school
I
board.
With
think
a
it's
very
on school
high minority
I
population.
think if a student said anything resembling those words, he would be suspended from school, hands down. So you have the leader of a school board saying those things. This guy needs to go far away,
No, keep.
further than Zimbabwe. He needs to go like in the ocean
Venus.
He needs to go to Venus.
somewhere.
Now, keep in mind, it is an elected position, the school board. He was elected by his people to be on this board.
yeah.
So,
And that
And the other
doesn't,
thing
that doesn't
is-
give him free reign to say
The
whatever
other thing
wants,
is he
though.
technically
Yeah.
didn't do anything illegal.
true.
Right, he can say
Distasteful,
what he wants,
absolutely.
but he does have to face the consequences that people are going to be very unhappy about this.
Preach, sister. That's right.
Crazy Carl.
Don't ever
But
say-
the thing that kills me is he doesn't apologize. He just defends, and as Greg pointed out, he doubles down on what he said. There's no like middle ground. Of, I said this, but I was just trying to be funny.
He's too old and
The
too
way-
far along to back down from anything he's done. I
He
mean,
didn't
he's,
even give a fake apology saying, like,
the way-
I'm
and the
so
way he
sorry you
doubled-
feel that way.
The way he doubled down wasn't quite as racist as his original comments.
he's
but
he's
It
made
was so
himself
bad.
he's made himself
Yeah.
out to be this caricature, and he's got to
Just don't
stick
even-
to it now.
Yeah.
It's his personal brand.
Yeah.
Well, I went to.
He's mad as hell. There were so many signs along the roads in Western New York back in 2010 that just said "mad as hell" when he ran for governor.
I did go to the Greater Rochester Trump rally back in April, May.
Yeah.
When that did happen here, Carl Palladino did take the stage, and it reminded me a lot of the Clint Eastwood talking to the chair skit of just crazy old man, definitely under the influence of something, and saying the way he thinks. And maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for Carl to step down or just retire after this term's over.
Well, it sounds like the Buffalo school board are starting to look at how they could potentially get him off the board, or at least,
good hard shove. Maybe.
Well, they have to like petition the state or something.
So,
Mikal, do you have any thoughts on Carl?
I think you guys got it all. I didn't even hear about this, to be
Now,
honest.
Joe and Amanda, as St. Bonaventure University grads, how do you? I mean, what do you think that there's been a lot of talk of the university? There's a building, not a building, a townhouse named after
it's a
him.
townhouse, yeah.
Changing that name. Do you think
You're going
that's?
to tear it down.
I mean, well, that
tear it down.
you could do that as a
Tear it
symbolic
down.
gesture, but does that really do anything?
I think that in order for the university to really separate themselves from Carl Palladino, they would have to stop accepting money from him, pretty much, because
That
he's a
is true.
huge donor.
I agree with Amanda. I think.
And they're probably not going to do that
no,
I don't know.
not a lot of
unless
colleges would.
Unless
there's enough outcry.
I
I think there is.
I think at least changing the name of that house would probably be appropriate. But
If other donors pull their money,
I do want to say
Yeah.
one good thing about St. Bonaventure. Little shout out to Sister Margaret Carney. Seems like she's doing very well in her recovery
she's in
from
remission.
blood cancer. So you keep it going, girl.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Anyway,
Were you going to make a point after that? Because it sounded like you had several things lined up here.
Oh, I've got
Anyway.
several. I've got a lot of things on my mind, Drew.
Okay.
Anyway, back to Carl Palladino. The current interim president of St. Bonaventure did say that what his comments don't represent the university. That he obviously missed a few lessons on, Franciscan values. So
Interesting. All right. Crazy Carl, we'll keep you posted on his status. And every couple of years when the gubernatorial race comes around, it's always talk that he'll throw his name on the ballot. I doubt he will this time around after recent events. We have come to the point of our program where we play our weekly game of Stump Tyler and
What year was it? What year was it?
this is a game we play every week where I run down a list of things that happened in one calendar year during our lifetimes, and Tyler always guesses correctly which year it was.
Oh, I just know it.
No, well, you guessed that
I guessed
last
once.
week. You guessed,
Yeah, I guessed once, but
or 2 weeks ago you guessed rather. So Tyler has not been beaten. We are going to do this list right now. In this year, let me pull up the sound clip. In this year, Aerosmith's I Don't Want to Miss a Thing debuts. JetBlue Airways, Monster.com, and Gillette Mach 3 Razor were born. Carmen Electra and Dennis Rodman were married for 9 days. Taco Bell's Think Outside the Bun slogan was formed. And in sports, the New York Yankees won the World Series. All of these things happened in the same calendar year. What year was
who
it?
did they beat in the World Series?
I'm not going to tell you that. Because I don't have it in front of me.
Michael, as a New York Yankees fan, do you have all of the years that they won stored in your memory box?
We'll go to Mike last.
Yeah.
Because he is a Yankees
Too many
fan.
numbers.
Yeah. What if I could...
I'll go first.
There's so much pressure on me.
Was it 1996?
Greg?
I saw the answer on
Don't
the
say it
computer,
then.
so I'm not going to say it.
Tyler?
1989.
Amanda?
1997.
And finally, Mike?
I was going to go 99.
99. We have stumped the room. It's 1998. All of those things happened in the year 1998.
Unless I can guess.
This segment lives on.
Golly.
This segment lives on.
Holy cow!
I don't
Wow.
know, man. I've been Reaganing all week. I think that's the first thing. That's the first misstep I've had.
It is, yeah.
Must be tough living with somebody who's right all week.
I'm going to use that word
Yeah,
in
you
our
actually
later
brought that
segment.
up last time I was here. And yes, it has not gotten any easier.
I don't know, man. You didn't help me out with that Yankees thing because they won 3 years in a row.
Well,
Was it 98? Because that was my next...
it was 98, yeah.
That was my
I
next
picked
guess.
it because I knew the Subway series is what sticks in people's mind. In particular, the Subway
Well, I
series.
remember.
Was 98 the Subway Series?
I believe
I remember
2000
the,
was the Subway series.
I knew this all happened when I was in 3rd grade. It was
Okay.
just a matter of when did the songs debut, and
Yeah. Well,
sometimes if the glove don't fit, you must have quit.
here we
That's,
go. Here we go.
Actually,
And boom goes the
And
dynamite.
goes the dynamite.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna shift.
Pressure's
Dang it.
off now.
We're
Pressure's
gonna
off.
shift gears.
Tough to be perfect all the time.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Way to end the year, right?
yeah.
We're gonna shift gears. 2016 is coming to a close very quickly, and Tyler, you have a list of words, and we'll add to it that we should retire with the new year.
Do you want the full list?
No, just give us the SparkNotes version.
Well, yeah,
We're
I
about
heard,
halfway through here.
I got this idea from Good Morning America this morning.
Okay.
Harris and Ferris were on it, so I'm going to bring it too. This list, it's actually called the Bigley list of words that to retire in 2017. That, of course, was a word that Donald Trump accidentally used at some point.
I like Bigley.
Okay,
What does Bigley mean?
Bigger than big.
means like
Yeah, that's
Large.
stupid.
largely.
Yeah, there's a lot of words to describe exactly what that means. So yeah, sorry, Don.
I think he was trying to say big league, right?
Right, that's
And
what
he
It sounded like he said Bigley.
Bigley.
So anywho, these words include adulting,
Okay.
AF.
That's my initials, by the way. I sent some emails at work. Yeah, that's great.
I am-
I
I am hype Andrew Fowler for this right now.
Enjoy your weekend. Yeah.
Alt-right. Hashtag
That's
blessed.
an actual thing, though. Alt right.
Right. Well, if the movement goes away, the word goes away for the most part. Hashtag blessed. That's the favorite of Amanda
I
Diedrich.
hate hashtag blessed.
I'm so blessed, though.
I
so
feel hashtag blessed to live in a country where I can say hashtag blessed. So
Feels,
Feels? I feels you.
as in all the feels.
All
Goals,
the feels.
as in squad goals or relationship goals.
Ship goals.
Lit,
That's Tyler's
Gonna
favorite.
get lit.
Oh,
And in that regard, not making the list was fire.
Fire?
yeah, I was
Oh,
on fire on
Can we add the word that you mentioned earlier that I would like to put on the list?
Sure.
Reaganing.
Reagan?
Why does that need to go away?
Because he really wasn't that great, guys. I'm sorry. The war on
Well, I
drugs
agree
was a
with-
complete failure.
I agree with that, but it's a 30 Rock reference.
Yeah. Not
This is
everything.
blowing Tyler's mind.
Can you play the breaking news clip real quick, Drew?
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
We've lost Greg Earnhardt.
You know who's a much better president than Reagan?
Don't. Drew, mute him.
JFK.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, okay.
Teddy. I like TR. TR's a good guy.
TR.
A lot of parks.
Rigged,
Yes.
also on the
Rigged.
list.
All right.
Trolls, woke, and xenophobia, among others. There were
Whoa. That's an actual word. You cannot get rid of that word. That's
Yeah.
a very
I
important
agree.
word.
That is
Yeah.
very important.
That is a very
That and
important word.
alt-right,
I-
like those are
Yes.
actual
I didn't make the
things.
list.
Well,
well, let's
whoever
talk
made
Bring
the
it
list
out.
is probably a xenophobe. So
Are there any words left
Or a
off?
white
Oh yeah,
nationalist.
I got a bunch.
I got a phrase. I can't even.
Like,
You can't even.
I can't
oh
even.
fam. Ooh,
Yeah, that's
fam.
needing to go.
Can we
for
have fam?
years.
How about one word that I can't
Fam
believe?
bam.
This is the most egregious one that didn't make the list. Friendsgiving.
Friendsgiving? Yep, I agree. Friendsgiving.
Please
I don't have a
leave.
problem with Friendsgiving.
I don't either.
Stop it.
We don't
Why?
have friends, that's why.
Are you jealous you didn't have a Friendsgiving?
No, I did. That's
Oh.
the thing.
I
Yeah.
don't like it. I get annoyed
Then
when
why?
people
That's a
say. I get annoyed when people say, "Oh my God, see you next year." When it's New Year's, and you'll see them in like a week. But it's
Oh.
like, I'll see you next year.
You
I got
did
a
that
few
in the
others.
Facebook Live video.
I got a few others here.
I know, that's what made me think about it.
yeah.
Hype.
Hyped?
Not the noun hype is okay, but using the
Adjective.
the
Yeah.
yeah.
Like this is so hype.
I am so hype.
Okay.
It should be hyped.
Okay.
That's what it was before
I'll
2015.
back you
but-
up on that one.
Also, the term "terrible person," which gets thrown around by people who are usually complaining about someone else being judgmental, and then they judgmentally throw out the term "terrible person."
Okay.
Ooh.
That one kind of annoys me.
I don't like the word "bae." That's gotta go.
Yes.
You're just
I
being
agree.
lazy about saying "babe." So just finish the word, please.
I don't even know why people say babe to begin with, because all I think of is the talking pig.
Well, that's
That's
my
an adorable pig.
that's my
I
term
know
of
it's an
endearment
adorable
for my
pig,
He's
but-
wife
probably
when I say
delicious
babe.
too.
No.
But I will never say "bae."
Also,
Bae.
the misuse
Nothing
of the
against
word
Bailey.
literally.
Oh, that's my girlfriend's name.
Right,
Bae.
I'm saying "bae" in terms of a form.
I
term of
refuse to
endearment.
call her bae.
If you call her name is "bae," I think that's fine.
The misuse
Okay.
of the word literally,
Literally.
B-A-Y.
as in I literally can't even.
How
Ooh,
about
what about
literally from Rob Lowe? on
That's
Parks and
different.
Rec?
what about when people?
that's funny.
What about when people mistake coincidence and irony?
Yeah, that's annoying.
Or
Like ironically, I saw my mom at the grocery store
like, no,
right
it's just
before
a
we went home.
coincidence.
or
That's
fame,
not ironic. That's,
fame
that's
and
just a
notoriety is another
coincidence.
one of those.
Huh?
Or fame and notoriety is another one of those.
Right.
A few others I have in here.
Regardless,
That's
This
not even a word.
this in all caps.
How do you use that?
For instance, if
Or just
someone
a picture of like a sandwich.
Like
Like
something you're-
this.
if someone shares an article on Facebook and simply writes this or preach.
Preach.
Preach is another one. I added slay. I don't like slay.
In what sense? Like we're gonna go slaying, or I'm gonna slay some beers tonight at the bar?
The last one.
Okay.
Yeah, or she is slaying that outfit, or girl slay. I don't know. I just.
What if they're saying "girl
Man,
slaying"?
you are
in
slaying
terms
this
of, like,
list right now.
You literally
Wait,
should go slaying right now.
can we
Girl
get some more
slaying.
examples of use from Amanda? This is really fun.
Oh no, I'm all out of examples. I'm
How about
sorry.
fleek?
On fleek.
I don't
really
like
hear that. I don't
Fleek.
hear it enough. To
I'm gonna slay this Bible reading at my church right now.
This Sunday school class.
That's what I say when I go to
All
church
of-
every Sunday.
All of these
Slay
words, I
Sunday
hope
school.
we are correct and they will stay in the year 2016, not travel with us into
Maybe
the
we're
next
not
year.
the group to discuss. some
Yeah, we're
of
not
these
youth
words.
anymore.
No.
I'm not up with the youth culture anymore. Because we're adulting.
Oh!
Hey.
It's time for the 259 Show's weekly power rankings.
This week, our weekly power rankings, we almost dropped the segment from the show until Tyler had a breakthrough idea.
You're welcome.
For once, right before we went on air. The top 5
That's where my rating ended for the week.
television shows that we have watched throughout this year. They could be new programs, they could be old programs, they could be on Netflix, HBO. Television shows that we've watched this year. I'll go first. Number 5, we talked about this briefly 2 weeks ago. Kevin Can Wait, the new sitcom starring Kevin James. I don't know if anybody else has caught it in the room. I think Kevin James is a funny guy. Number 4, The Middle. Number 3, just started season 4. A little late to the game on this one, but Orange is the New Black. Almost through that series. Number 2, Designated Survivor, just wrapped up its first season on ABC. And number 1, coming out in February with a new season, House of Cards. That is my top 5 list of TV shows I have watched this year.
I'll jump in next.
I guess we're not
I just kept mine to new shows that I got into this year. Number 5 is Gotham. Number 4 is Broad City. Number 3 is Daredevil and Luke Cage because they kind of go off of each other. Number 2 is Vice Principals, and number 1 is Game of Thrones, which surprisingly I got into just last April, and I think I finished the whole series in like 2 months. So highly recommend Game of Thrones. Greg?
All right. Got some different ones that haven't been mentioned yet, but my number 1 is kind of predictable. Number 5, I have Ballers. It's an HBO show starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, playing a sports agent. Number 4 is Longmire, not very well known, but a great show. Awesome scenery, which is why I got into it. About a sheriff in Absaroka County, Wyoming.
Oh, that's interesting, Greg. Which channel is that on?
It's a Netflix series. It was an A&E series, I believe, and then Netflix picked it up.
Interesting.
But he's a real stand-up dude. Number 3, I have Narcos, also a Netflix series. It's about the life of Pablo Escobar, told from the perspective of an American DEA agent. Although they hang a cat in that show, but I moved past that. Number 2, Mad Men, came out several years ago. It's a 7-season series, but I watched it this year. It's phenomenal. Number 1, like I said, predictable, Game of Thrones.
I don't know. That was too sophisticated for me. I don't know how
Team
much
Jon
I can follow that
Snow
up.
over here, all the way.
All of mine are current or former network TV programs.
Go for it.
Sitcoms.
Go for it.
And most of them are on ABC.
All right. Where you work?
No, technically, I don't work at ABC or for ABC, but we are an ABC affiliate.
Exactly.
Number 5, Home Improvement.
I'm a big fan of that pick.
I watched it casually when it was on back when I was young in the 90s, but I just kind of started picking it up once it started airing during the day on Hallmark. It's been off for the last 2 months while I've been playing Christmas movies, and it comes back next week, and I'm looking forward to it.
On the Hallmark Channel.
Number 4, basically the same show, except with 3 girls instead of 3 boys, Last Man Standing.
Last Man Standing.
Also started watching it on Hallmark all the time. Number 3, The Goldbergs, as we talked about a couple weeks ago. Number 2, this one's been on my top 5 for years and years and years, and it probably will be forever, King of the Hill. And number 1, like we talked about a few weeks ago as well, is The Middle.
The Middle. Amanda, does your list deviate from that?
Yeah, a little bit.
What do you got?
Number 5, I had the show Bones. It's currently on its 11th season, but I watched up to season 5 before I got bored. It's actually very interesting. It's about a forensic anthropologist played by Emily Deschanel.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to jump in there. My family loves Bones. I hate it. I leave the house when Bones is on TV. Back when my dad was around, we would, every time the TV was on, it was Bones. Awful.
Okay.
Absolutely hate that. I've seen every episode 10 times. I'm sick of Bones. I can't believe it's still it's still coming out.
I can't either because I stopped in the middle of season 5. I'm like, yeah, this is getting a little too
overdone.
Crazy. Yeah. But the first few seasons I thought were very well done.
Right. And it seems like a lot of shows seem to hit their peak pretty early on in the run.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Number 4, I had Parks and Rec.
Good show.
Mm-hmm. Great show. Number 3, I had Jane the Virgin. It plays on CW. Yeah. It's more of like it's like a telenovela that makes fun of telenovelas. It's
I don't know.
Is it in Spanish?
No, it's not in Spanish, but all the characters
and
are
Telemundo.
Hispanic. Number 2, I had the Goldbergs.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1, I had The Middle as well.
Great. Mike, welcome to the program.
Hey.
Thanks for being here today.
Number 5, Shameless is a Showtime series, but I've been watching it through Netflix. I think they just finished up their 8th season. It's about this very dysfunctional family who... It's like the total opposite of the Goldbergs, who don't have a lot... They're even poorer than... or not the Goldbergs, the Middle. Even more poor than the Middle family. They just do whatever they can to get by, and it's funny. Number 4...
Funny?
Is it neat?
It's neat. It's a little raunchy. You probably wouldn't like it, Tyler. And the rest of the 4 were already mentioned. House of Cards, Narcos, Game of Thrones, and then Mad Men.
Hey,
You guys are so sophisticated.
Also, was that our top 5 favorite shows of all time, or just
No.
Okay,
Correct.
good. Thank you.
I love
Good,
Seinfeld
good.
off
Thank
my
you.
list.
Okay, just because that would have been. I've got many more.
Yeah.
For another day.
I watch Seinfeld a lot. I didn't put it on my list, though, because it's not like I'm going to DVR or I'm going to sit down and watch it. If it's on, I'll watch it.
Right on, brother.
Now, Parks and Rec, I didn't think about this till just now. Same with The Office. They're not in syndication as much as you'd think they would be.
They're on
Not yet.
FXX.
I think that'll happen.
FXX?
soon.
Well, I mean, when we grew up, Seinfeld was on for 2 hours every night on TBS.
It still is.
It still is, and you could guarantee from 6 to 7, Seinfeld would be on.
Yeah, it's on local stations a lot.
Speaking of, sorry to jump away, but speaking of Parks and Rec in The Office, I remember the show I was not here for. You guys were talking about how the Middle and the Goldbergs had like this, or have this amazing lineup on Wednesday night. I think that Thursday night of Parks and Rec, 30 Rock, The Office, and I'm sure there was another very funny show, was probably like to be reckoned with. That lineup,
absolutely.
you know, really, really solid.
I also forgot one from my list.
Yes.
Modern Family.
Yes, Modern Family. But this is the top 5, not top 6. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it'll be number 6 for me right
Number
now.
6? I missed the cut, huh?
Yeah.
Well, 2016 coming to a close. We're going to go through some topics. We'll go around the table. We'll talk about who we would vote for and have some dialogue.
For president or...
Yes, that happened this past year, by the way. If you've been living under a rock, it has been.
Oh, wait, I missed it.
Yeah, Donald Trump's going to be president in a couple of weeks.
I forgot to.
But who do you guys think is the breakout athlete of 2016?
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees? Breakout?
Yes.
He was the breakout athlete of like 2009.
I agree with you, Greg.
Breakout
that-
athlete of every year ever.
I agree with you, Greg, that he's one of the more underrated. He has record numbers.
Yes, he does.
He's not underrated.
I think
Not
he-
currently.
yes,
Maybe on the all-time scope he is, but not currently.
Yeah.
I'm going to give my breakout athlete of 2016 to Simone Biles.
Yeah.
Kind of took the Olympic world by storm.
Joe, if you had followed women's gymnastics for the past 3 years, you would know that this was not a breakout year for her. She's been tearing it up across the national circuit and international circuit for quite some time now.
Joe,
Well, as not a very close follower to women's gymnastics, I think she did
Right,
great.
you should be ashamed of yourself.
Drew, what were you going to say?
I'm going to piggyback on you because I picked a Olympic athlete as well. I got Katie Ledecky. 4 golds and a silver this year.
Ooh, that's a great pick.
Katie Ledecky. I
She's
think-
what? She's like 19, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's young.
I mean, watching her swim, I guess the analogy would be Michael Phelps 2008. Just a dominating performance
And
and,
that one-
breaking through.
Didn't she win that
becoming-
one race by like 100 meters or something ridiculous?
Yeah.
She also has the staying power that Simone Biles probably does not. I mean, women's gymnastics, it's usually like
Short-lived career.
you've got your moment in the sun, and then the next
Yeah, you got
17-year-old is going to take
You got
over.
4 years.
Katie Ledecky's probably got another 2-3 Olympics where she can get
Yeah.
a substantial amount of gold medals.
And she's a household name now. Katie Ledecky.
Katie
Most
Ledecky.
people know that she's a U.S. swimmer. Katie Ledecky. Anybody else? Anybody else got a breakthrough athlete?
I like Katie Ledecky pick.
I do too.
I'm glad.
Tiller?
I mean, just to change it up and go with the NFL, I guess you got to go with Dak Prescott.
Also a
Yeah,
good pick.
I agree.
And Zeke Elliott.
I don't think Zeke because Ohio State.
wait.
He's got the Ohio State name, but Dak Prescott, like
David Johnson of the Cardinals.
He was
He had a
pretty
good year
last
last year,
though,
but
yeah.
he really.
Isn't
I
he?
think he's the best back.
He's
in
got the most
NFL,
touchdowns
I
in the
think
league.
he's very
Isn't he
underrated.
leading
I think a
the
lot of
league in
people.
yards from scrimmage,
And
too?
he is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are.
He can
looking
do it
at
all.
Zeke,
He's on my fantasy
and
team
they're
too.
like,
So
Zeke is the greatest player in the NFL. I think David
Yeah,
Johnson.
David Johnson,
even
yeah.
better.
interesting. How about sports story of the year? Let's just recap. We got the Cavs bringing a title to Cleveland.
And in most years
say-
that would be the number one story, but I think you got to go with the Cubs winning the World
The
Series.
Cubs
That's what I was
bringing the
about to
World
say.
Series. What else happened? What? Obviously, the U.S. swept in the Olympics.
The U.S. killed everyone in the Olympics, and it was great. You also had the
USA.
college basketball national championship game come down to a buzzer beater.
I don't want to talk
Villanova
about
winning
that. I don't want to talk about that.
against a team. They beat a team.
A team.
Yeah.
Just a generic team who has light blue as colors.
You had
That's
Peyton
fine.
Manning going out on top with a Super Bowl victory, even though it was kind of despite him.
Yep.
He still did it.
Anything else that we really left off?
I was going to say
Tiger
I
Woods
just-
is coming back
Yeah, no.
again.
I was going to say we should give more justice to the Cavs in because Cleveland is a pretty not a fun city,
Destitute.
and I think
like
finally
Buffalo.
bringing it's. I think it's
And they very nearly won 2 titles this year.
with baseball. So
After
I think,
not winning one
and
in
especially
a long
LeBron,
time.
just the magnitude of him leaving and coming back, and kind of like this is for Cleveland. I think that was really cool.
And LeBron kind of came full circle this year. And I think Cleveland hadn't won a title in any major pro sport since 1964, and they almost won 2 this year that they probably should have, but the Indians kind of blew it.
I think it's important for LeBron's legacy for him to have put his money where his mouth is
Finally.
and delivered on that promise.
Yeah.
Finally.
And that's the most we'll ever talk about the NBA in this program.
We haven't mentioned the NHL yet.
I'd also like to mention Jimmy Johnson won his 7th Sprint Cup.
That's
this
pretty
year.
impressive,
Yeah.
too.
Which ties
That's-
the all-time record with Dale Earnhardt and
He's a
Richard
great
Petty.
player.
I think we left one of the biggest things that happened in American sports this year. I got an audio clip, actually. I'm going to play it. I'm going to cue up my own audio clip. We're going to play it.
3rd and 4, looks into the nickel of San Francisco in the secondary. Hey, somebody has run out on the field. Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Here comes the blue coat,
Oh,
Kevin.
they got him.
Here
They're
comes
coming
the blue
from the
coats.
left. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line.
I think that recaps sports of the year 2016.
What in that Sam Houston was that?
That was during the Rams 49ers Monday Night Football season opener,
Yeah.
which was a terrible game, if you
Yeah.
remember
Damn,
correctly.
sorry, I
It was
missed that.
Kevin Harlan.
Yeah.
And actually, it allowed me to pull that clip and pull this as one of our weekly sound effects now.
He's bare-chested and banging his chest. The guy is drunk.
His name is
Is that Joe?
His name is Joe Peachy.
Is that going to be whenever Joe says something very outlandish?
But I think that was one of the funnier things to happen.
Or
this
that's what we
year.
can replace Greg's inflammatory comments earlier with.
He's bare-chested. He's pounding his chest. He is drunk. 2016.
There were a lot of retirements of some very notable athletes this
You
year.
mentioned Peyton Manning already.
Peyton Manning, Tim Duncan,
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say that I think the best basketball player to retire this year is not Kobe Bryant. I think Tim Duncan. Better than Kobe. More titles, more.
And the way
concrete
he
play.
did it too was just
The
a
way he
simple
did it, he was
statement.
He was just an all around classy guy who just did it.
It's hilarious, too.
Mike, I know, is going to miss David Ortiz, who also retired this year.
See ya, Poppy.
Anybody else on that list?
Tony Stewart.
Okay.
You retired?
Yeah.
No one left to fight?
Any other big retirements?
I don't think so. I think
I officially retired from rugby.
congratulations. I
Yeah.
think that goes on the list.
Moving away from the sports world.
Michael
real quick,
Phelps.
I just want to.
Although he'll
yeah,
he'll probably be back. This is like the 3rd time he's
Oh.
done that.
I just want to highlight some of the unfortunate deaths that we've seen in 2016.
Here we go. Joe's getting soft on
Oh wait,
us.
wait,
Getting
we
stopped. There's
forgot
a whole bunch.
a couple.
Yeah, Ty, go
Actually, we
ahead.
forgot a bunch.
Of deaths?
No, retirements, sports retirements.
Oh.
Calvin Johnson,
Oh yeah,
Marshawn Lynch,
Marshawn, yeah.
Jared Allen.
A couple Hall of Famers, I think.
I don't think Marshawn's a Hall of Famer. I really wonder why people seem to think he's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. But that's A-Rod retired too.
That's tough.
It's
because-
Skittles pushing for
Yeah.
That's a
Marshawn
big
to
one,
get
too,
into
A-Rod.
that.
I'm just going down the list.
As a Yankees fan, Mike, how do you feel about A-Rod retiring?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh,
They
Justin.
need to get rid of his contract. They still got to pay him for next year.
One of my
I believe.
all-time favorites, Justin Tuck.
I-
We can thank him for being the
I
Patriots.
want to go off of Joe
Super
saying
Bowls.
Tim Duncan being more influential to the game than Kobe. I have to disagree with that.
Really?
What did I don't know. I
wouldn't
think
say-
Kobe changed
I think-
the landscape of the
No,
game
Kobe-
way more than Tim Duncan
I think
did.
Kobe was more influential.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
You
I
could
just said the
argue
better
Tim
player.
Duncan was
Oh,
better.
the better player.
Yeah, you could argue Tim Duncan was a better all-around
But
player.
I think kids play basketball today because
of Kobe.
You know?
Yeah,
don't
I think he did
it's
more for
Tim
the
Duncan.
game than Tim Duncan did.
Well, even the kids in school, when they throw a
Kobe
paper
was
ball to the
Kobe's a
basket,
cultural
they
icon
yell
too.
Kobe.
I mean, Kobe
Yeah.
had his own line of shoes with 2 different brands, right? Like every Asian kid ever in Asia has a Kobe Bryant jersey.
And like people outside of sports, Kobe was still pretty well known.
And Kobe's a one-person name, or a single name.
Right.
If you
He
say
had a
Kobe,
rap
you know
album.
what you're talking
You know what
about.
you're talking
Kobe.
about.
You guys
Yeah.
remember his rap album?
I mean, if Tim Duncan had the same kind of,
Okay.
I don't want to say personality, but branding that Kobe Bryant did, he would have been probably remembered.
Yeah, but the way he
as-
played the game wasn't flashy or memorable.
right,
He
exactly,
did everything right.
exactly.
And that was
It
his
was all about the
personal life too.
fundamentals.
Right.
Yeah.
And he stayed out of
That's
the
exactly how
house.
he wanted. That's
What?
exactly
Yeah.
how he wanted it. And
Duncan kept
you know
his
what?
personal life very private.
Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like the Derek Jeter of.
I think I would have.
Zambia.
Yeah.
But Derek Jeter's way better.
Predictions for 2017. And then we'll
Well-
get to Joe's point.
Well, okay.
Armageddon.
Armageddon.
I'm going to say my breakout athlete is, unfortunately, because he's going to be drafted by the Patriots, is going to be Christian McCaffrey. Watch. He's going to just watch. He's going to get drafted by the Patriots, and he's going to be this hybrid running back wide receiver thing, and he's just going to have like 2,000 yards from scrimmage as a
He's gonna
rookie.
blend. He's gonna be a blend of like Austin Collier, Wes Welker, that other white guy, and,
Drew Fowler.
and Danny Woodhead all in one. It's gonna be like this super white.
The 2011
The great white.
Stealth BE football game.
My breakout athlete of 2017, Greg mentioned it a couple minutes ago, Tiger Woods. I think he's going to come back. And
Oh, he'd be the comeback athlete of the
no,
year.
he's going to break through again.
Think
A
he
strong,
wins a
wind-
major?
a strong
Once
wind will come
you've
along
broken
and
through, you can't break through again. He
disintegrate
broke
him.
through back in like '97.
Okay, I see him as
Do you
a
think he
comeback
wins a
guy.
major this year, though?
Yes.
Really?
I'm going to say right now, yes.
Tyler, who's your breakout athlete of 2017?
I mean, I don't know. I don't.
think.
I mean, you want me to tell? I could tell you who I think will be break out for my own teams. If that's
Sure.
what you're gonna do.
Who on Notre Dame is going to be that household
Brandon
name?
Wimbush will be the new starting quarterback. He was the third stringer this past season. Actually, redshirted.
Are they losing both? Losing
Yep.
Kaiser and their second?
Kaiser and Zaire both gone, and Brandon Wimbush actually might be more talented than both of them.
Hey,
So we'll see. And Brian Kelly has not had time to ruin him yet, so we can get at least one good year out of Brandon Wimbush. I'm sure. I don't know about the rest of the team because I'm not very happy with the way that program is going right now. But I think Brandon Wimbush will have a good year if he stays healthy.
Michael.
I don't know if he's already broken out, but Gary Sanchez of the New York Yankees. He already had a great last 30
So he'll
games this
he'll
season.
have a full season now.
Yeah. So I think he could do some good things for the Yanks this year.
Interesting. I don't have one.
I couldn't think of
Sorry, guys. I was ill-prepared. Greg?
Drew Brees. Second pick. He's already pretty well known in college basketball, but Caleb Swanigan is kind of the big man on campus at Purdue this year. He's a sophomore, no longer playing.
Purdue
in the shadow
has a
of A.J.
basketball team?
Hammonds. Yes, they do. They're
And-
quite good. They just beat Notre Dame a few weeks ago because Notre Dame's terrible at everything. But yeah, he's now a Naismith Player of the Year candidate. I think he's averaging a double-double on the season. Solid kid.
And I just totally forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I'd like to throw. I think one of the top rookies you're going to want to watch out for next year in the NFL will be Leonard Fournette, the running back from LSU.
I don't like the way he's kind of disappeared in some big games though. Right? He'll have like a 200-yard game followed up by like a 59-yard game. I mean you didn't see that out of Derrick Henry. You never saw that out of Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott was like 120 yards every single.
I
game.
just remember seeing him play against Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah, he always laid
as
an
a
egg
freshman.
too against Alabama, right? He never had
Yeah.
big games against Alabama.
No.
Who, the best
Interesting.
defense in college football. He's going to see better defenses.
Well, time
the
will
NFL.
tell. Time will tell.
Are
Joe.
we expecting another repeat national championship from Alabama?
Unfortunately, I think
Probably.
so.
I don't think we ever.
I don't see any
reason
of those
not
other
to.
That
Stop
defense
him.
is just
And Nick Saban is a wizard.
Oh, wizard.
an actual wizard.
I mean, you can't say enough about, like I said earlier, you can't say enough, especially in college football, about how much of an impact a good coach makes. We're seeing that right now at Notre Dame.
Before we hit airtime to close out the program this week, Joe mentioned earlier some notable deaths this past year. We'll go somber, and then we'll end with some airtime. Joe, can you run through the list for us?
Yeah, and a whole bunch, unfortunately.
In no particular order.
Yeah, some music icons like Prince and David Bowie. some political icons and just heroes, John Glenn, some movie stars, Gene Wilder, Alan Thicke, Muhammad Ali, Alan Rickman, Florence Henderson, Nancy Reagan, Arnold Palmer, Craig Sager, recently Gary Marshall, Pat Summitt, Gordie Howe, Harper Lee, and today we lost Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher. So unfortunately, these are the deaths of 2016. Hopefully 2017 is a little less harsh on us.
Deathy.
Yeah. So.
Good word.
Well, it probably won't be. I mean,
Unfortunately, people die
and Cassius Clay died too.
Oh,
did you hear that?
Yes.
So, it's on a somber note, but we kind of heard rumblings today that maybe the Queen's health isn't doing too well.
Really?
She might be someone.
Is that breaking news?
She didn't do her Christmas broadcast for the first time in I can't remember how many years. I was.
Did anybody in the royal family do it? Do you know?
No, I think it's.
How old is she?
I think it's usually just the Queen.
She's old.
She's in her 80s, I think.
89.
I think she's in her 90s, honestly.
It's gotta be.
And the documentary about her on Netflix, The Crown, is amazing, by the way.
Really?
They really do a good job talking about her life.
There's some good documentaries on Netflix.
I'll have to.
It's like a 6-episode
Queen
miniseries
Elizabeth
thing.
is 90 years old.
Yeah.
The Queen.
Hopefully
and
she's
Andy.
okay.
So, airtime. We end each program going around the room, airing our grievances in the Festivus spirit, and giving each other some airtime. Anybody in particular want to start? Some
grievances?
No, just some airtime.
Just airtime. I'll jump
All right,
in
Joe.
first. So I've got kind of a story for you.
Oh,
He would probably be a senior in high school, either starring on the football team or lead in the school play.
Did you write this? Or?
I did. He's getting ready for the senior prom and most likely takes his girlfriend out by make-out point, parks his car, and starts smooching his lady friend.
Mike Peach.
He would be narrowing down his schools to 2 or 3 college choices. Hopefully he goes to St. Bonaventure. His metabolism is probably fantastic. He can down 2 garbage plates in one sitting. He can now legally donate blood, drive a car by himself, and without the accompaniment of an adult, and apply for a private pilot's license for a plane, helicopter, hot air balloon. This young man is 17 years old. He is the Buffalo Bills' playoff drought. And what has turned into the NFL's perennial losing franchise, the Bills continue to destroy the hopes and dreams of their fans by yet another season ending in misery and disappointment. Even the lowest of NFL franchises, like that team based in an economy that depends more on Cuban sandwiches and the 401ks of retired Long Islanders than that of their professional football team, can make the playoffs. Even the mistake on the lake has made the playoffs during that time. It's been a long 17 years. I barely remember that game against the Tennessee Titans when they illegally threw the football forward and some said it was a lateral.
By the way.
But I have hope. Firing Rex Ryan today and hopefully moving into the sunlight is what any Bills fan can dream of. So I'm going to keep dreaming and winning the Super Bowl with the Bills in Madden 2017. But until the real thing happens, now you know the rest of the story.
That was well delivered, like a Papa John's pizza, Joe.
I'm really digging the Paul Harvey shout out at the end too. That was
You got to give it to the men who paved the way for the 259 show.
Good job.
Thank you.
Is that a walk-off?
Is that it? Are you done with the
I'm done.
259 show? You're not going back next week?
That is my walk-off of 2016.
Wow. The Bills playoff drought, not legally old enough to drink yet, but definitely getting drunk in the Bills tailgate a lot before the game.
He probably steals a couple sips of Jack Daniels from his dad's liquor cabinet.
Getting weird in the parking lot, for sure.
He grows up in Buffalo. What can you expect?
Probably stomping the cans of the 12, or he just
jumped on the burning tables.
Slade.
If he's anything like a 17-year-old Joe Peachy, he just cried after the Bills lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. All the third stringers of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You still cry after this.
Of course I do. Drew, airtime?
Yeah, my airtime was going to piggyback off of that. As in, it's no secret I'm a season ticket holder to the Buffalo Bills. I have a good amount of what next year's ticket prices will be already saved. I've been saving since the beginning of the season. But in news of Rex Ryan being fired today, I'm going to hold off on making that deposit as long as I can until I find out who the coach is. It's not a secret that first-year coaches with any program rarely make the playoffs. Are you going to tell me over 51% of the time a first-year coach makes a playoff?
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
It's not likely.
It's not likely. I'm going to hold off until I find out who the coach is. It's going to take a big name, like a Tom Coughlin or what have you, to get me back into the stadium next year. I might pause it a year in my fandom and watch it from my living room next year. And also, a part B of my airtime, staying along on that somber note, 2016, we lost my grandfather early on in the year on the Fowler side of the family. 2017 hopefully will go much better starting out of the gate for the Fowler family and continuing on that legacy. This podcast does give us the ability to come weekly to our listeners. We appreciate it because it's a lot of fun, and hopefully next year we will continue to do the same. And on a more positive note, anybody else want to take the ball here?
Okay. In true John DiTullio fashion, you guys could take this to the bank. The Green Bay Packers are going to the Super Bowl. They are red hot right now. Aaron Rodgers looks good.
Red hot.
Red hot.
Weren't you calling for the firing of
Coach
McCarthy
changed.
in episode number 2?
No, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I think we lost that sound clip.
we might have to dig in the archive.
I just thought of that like 2 seconds ago.
All right.
So.
All right.
Yeah, it doesn't count because it's the last episode 2016, so no one remembers this in the new year. Yeah, I'm
nobody
fine.
listens to a year-old podcast.
No one cares. It's a year old.
Oh, can we also throw away the word "New Year, New Me" or the phrase "New Year, New Me" in 2017?
Treat yourself.
New Year, New Me.
No, that's Parks and Rec.
Just thought of one too to add to the list. # not my president.
Tyler, airtime.
I feel like
Amanda,
people
do you
don't
have any
understand
words?
how government works.
Parting thoughts for the year?
Not particularly, but I do want to say.
Okay, then I'll jump in.
Hey!
You guys act like you're married.
No, we're not.
Oh wait, that's a reverse thing.
I do want to say that
Reverse thing.
on a somber note, today that Carrie Fisher's death really was kind of like the last kick in the
nards?
Johnson
Pants.
after
The Gary
last
Johnson?
kick in the pants after
Johnson.
a tough year of losing a lot of great people. She was very outspoken, and when you're a kid, seeing that from a celebrity, especially for girls, is very important. She was a tireless advocate for mental illness and addiction and treatments for that, as well as women's rights. So it's a very sad day losing someone like that.
Tyler.
Okay. There are a lot of people who were saying that 2016 was such a terrible year, and they can't wait for the new year to start. But
I say that every year, though.
You don't have to wait for a new year to have a fresh start. You can start over any time.
Plus, your life is going to be exactly the same as it will be on January
Unless you
1st.
actively do something to change it. I mean, not much is going to change unless other circumstances around you do. But the fact of the matter is, you should be happy to be alive and living in America, regardless of the current political climate. Still, in my opinion, the greatest country in the world in which to live. And we should all just be grateful to be alive and have the freedoms that we do in this country.
# blessed.
Yeah.
Preach.
Laid.
Church.
Just laid that.
Someone just shared that and wrote this.
Greg, any final words for... Thank you for joining the program today, by the way.
Yeah, thank you guys very much for having me. This has been a blast. I can't think of a whole lot of other things I'd rather be doing right now. And I wish I knew that you guys were going to do this segment, because I would have written something way better than what Joe recited. But, yeah, so just a couple things.
So he says.
Just a couple things. 2016 for me personally was a pretty great year. Had a blast. What else? I was going to mention that none of my favorite professional sports teams, like major professional sports teams, have ever won a championship of any importance. The only one that comes to mind is the Rochester Nighthawks, who three-peated in, I think it was 2012 to 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're going for the 4-peat.
Yeah.
Mike has enough championships for the rest of us to go around.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
What else?
So, get back, bro.
Just thank you for letting me stop in
and
safe travels back home.
Thanks for coming here and infecting our airwaves today.
You're welcome. Those cookies were pretty decent.
You too, Joe. Safe travels home.
Oh,
We'll see you via Skype next week.
When's the next time Joe will be back?
Yeah,
in
it was
the
a
studio?
pleasure being here. I'm gonna try to come home for a 3-day weekend one of these times. So if we do a Saturday on live,
That
I'll definitely
maybe
be
ours first.
Hard tease.
Hard tease.
Anyone else going to HFR tomorrow for lunch?
We'll
Anyone see that?
I don't think people want to hear about your personal drama.
Anyone see
right
that post
I'll be
from
there.
Jermichael?
Drew, before we wrap this up, is there anything you would like to add about
enemies become friends?
what listeners can expect in the new year here on the 259 show?
New year, new us. Hashtag new year, new us. We are going to start in a couple weeks here doing a midweek segment where we'll go around the table after we do a taping and go in depth. We had the idea, we tossed around the Mount Rushmore topic. What would the Mount Rushmore of sports broadcasters be? The Mount Rushmore of Western New York food items. These topics that we do talk about as a power ranking, but collectively we'll come up with a list of the top 4.
I think the thought was we'd have a different segment each week, but they would
rotate through.
Yeah.
And we'd go through them once a month each, but there would be a different one every week.
Yeah. Any other topics that we threw out there?
Freezing cold takes.
Freezing cold takes. I like that. That's a good segment to have. Yep. So we'll have these topical topics, if you will. We'll drop on our website, social media halfway through the week. Some new content. We're going to try to go live. We're going to do some podcast episodes live where we could have a little bit more interaction with our listener or plural listeners.
I love you, Dad.
Thanks,
Mom,
guys.
Dad.
Appreciate it. And we're going to just keep the ball rolling here. I don't see us taking a break anytime soon. We're establishing this rhythm that we call a podcast, and we
keep getting better every week.
We get a little bit better every week. Last week we did it twice, so today we're twice as prepared, I suppose. But it has been an honor. Thank you for listening to us. Let us know what you think.
We'll see you next year.
You have been listening to the 259 show.
Joe, I
we
hope to
will
never see
talk
you
to
again.
you soon.